Hey, this is Kevin.
And this is Mark.
And this is Go to the Campus with Crew.
Yep, where we talk about how to reach teenagers for Christ.
Hey, in this segment, we're going to talk about why teenagers are strategic to reach and what is it about the campus that makes it that way.
Yeah, why are we so focused on going to the public high school campus to reach teenagers?
Yeah.
So the first question is, why teenagers? What would you say, Kevin?
Well, when I think about it, I think of a picture in the Gospels where Jesus was looking out on the multitude, and it said that he felt compassion for them because they were distressed and downcast like sheep without a shepherd.
Yeah, and if you that describes teenagers so well.
Yeah, well, and the whole distressed, I mean, Jesus saw 2,000 years ahead. If that one word would describe this generation, it's anxiety. Yeah. I mean, so many of the students are facing pressure that they never faced before.
Suicide rate is up. I think every 100 minutes, a student commits suicide here in the States.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know. And
anxiety, loneliness, people are not spending time with them. They're on their phones, but they're not connected.
Yep. And there's bullying. There's all kinds of things that at a young age, a teenager experiences so much more of the intensity of first experiences. And so when they're bullied at that age, when they're tempted with things, it all compounds, and it seems like, and that's why I think suicide's on the rise, because everything seems right in their face and intense.
75% of Christians accept Christ before age 18, which means that if you get 100 people in a room that are Christians and you say, hey, who accepted Christ before age 18? 75 of them are going to raise their hands. That's a huge section of them.
How about you?
Yeah.
When did you receive Christ? Just think about it. It was probably during a time where you were very, very receptive and responsive, just like the heart of a kid.
And that's teenagers. And so that's why we go after teenagers. When I first heard that, I thought, why would I want to spend my energy anywhere else but in this extremely responsive group of people?
Yeah. Well, even last night we were reminded of what this audience looks like. We're at a football game, right? Whole communities out there. There are hundreds of students involved in all kinds of activities.
Multiple groups of hundreds of students involved in that activity.
Yeah, so I watched this band march in beautifully, all in their regale, and I'm thinking to myself, what would it be like if one of those students caught a vision for seeing that band come to Christ?
And then there's a football team, the same thing. What if one of those football players started wanting to reach his football team? He's already there, they practice every day together, they've got tons of relational connection. What if he did an outreach, did a Bible study, started loving his football friends, and they started coming to Christ?
Yeah. Well, that one group that most intrigued me was that group of half-naked kids.
They were all wearing
they weren't really not half-naked, but body paint, screaming,
everywhere.
red face.
You know what was interesting to me is that that the student section there is that all the adults steered so clear of
That's
that.
Right.
And it's a great picture of what we see in today's culture is that teenagers are kind of scary to most adults, and so they steer clear. And as a result, we have this isolated, lonely group of people.
No, it just happens naturally because I think a lot of parents, when their kids get to be teenagers, they become a little funny because they're going through so many different changes.
Yeah.
There's a little distance that happens there.
Yep.
And so it's like, who do these students have to go to for leadership, for direction? Well, that's where we step in.
Yeah. We always say, go to the campus, and that's what it is all about. Let's let adults and caring people go to the campus where they can engage with these teenagers.
When you think about students, they all grew up in a home, right? Somewhere, somehow, all right? So, but then as they become teenagers, they all congregate in schools. Well, the only place they all congregate in is the high school. They're all so it's like a funnel. It's like an hourglass funnel. They all come down and they're right there for 4 years.
In fact, 95% of teenagers in any community are at that public high school.
Yeah.
Some are in Christian schools or private schools or home schools or whatever, but 95%. There's no other segment of society where 95% of that age group is right there in one place at one time, and it happens to be at the time in their life when they're most responsive to the gospel of any time in their life.
Yeah, and I think as we sum it up here, it's actually, they're responsive.
Yep.
They're actually really ready.
Yep. And
not only ready to respond to Christ, but really to lead spiritually.
Yep.
And
they're waiting. They're waiting for somebody to come and talk to them.
Yeah.
Love them.
So as we conclude here, once again, our podcast is Go to the Campus. When in doubt, don't pout. Go to the campus.